What's up, guys? We got Flaming Victini here for another SPL game. This time we've got Daftmau versus TheEnder. TheEnder is rocking some balance with Lopunny and Hoopa, which is a really nice combination. And he's got Jirachi and Rotomosh, which is quite interesting, as well as the double dragons. And Daftmau has brought a Heracross and a Lopunny, which is really quite interesting. I'm thinking this might be I'm thinking it has to be Mega Lopunny, so the Heracross might actually be Ganlon Berry Natural Gift. Or some sub-select thing. Definitely some sort of SD set, because Heracross plus Lopunny, I think he's really going for the Ganlon Berry thing, but we actually see here that Daftmau pulls a switch into his Slowbro as TheEnder goes into his Garchomp, which means TheEnder's probably just going to get up his rocks here, and Daftmau is probably going to just go for the Scald, try to get that burn. And the next turn we might see TheEnder bring in the Rotomosh. Excuse me, bring in the Rotomosh on the Slowbro. Then he can threaten the Will-O-Wisp or the Volt Switch. And that'll be not so good for Daftmau. So he really needs the burn right here. And does he get the burn? He gets the burn, so that's quite annoying for TheEnder, but he can manage for sure. So now looking at the overall team matchup, I think double fighting has actually a really solid chance of doing well versus TheEnder, just because he's also burned that Garchomp, and he can just fire off a close, because Heracross kind of is more immediately not forcing in the Latios to come in, and that'll mean that the Heracross can really pound away at that Garchomp so that Lopunny doesn't have to take extra damage, and he can also force the Rotomosh to be weakened, or the Jirachi even to be weakened, which is really good for Daftmau's Lopunny. And from that point on, once he's weakened everything properly, then TheEnder's Lopunny will be his only threat to Daftmau's Lopunny, and Daftmau has a Slowbro, he also has a Landorus, so I think that's really in favor of Daftmau. So, looking at the Heatran, Ferrothorn, Lando T, you really have to try to discern which, I'm thinking he would want to run Spikes and Rocks, so I'm thinking Ferrothorn is a Spiker. And then you'd want to figure out whether Heatran is a Scarfer or if Lando T is a Scarfer and which one is the Rocker. Maybe Heatran is a Magma Trap set. I could see actually Magma Trap just because Slowbro is such an annoying to Daftmau. Well, it's not a huge annoyance because he does have the Heracross, so never mind about that. But I could still see it being Magma Storm Tran with Solar Beam. But we see the Volt Switch as Daftmau pulls the switch into his Ferrothorn, and TheEnder doesn't actually have much for this Ferrothorn at all. The best he can do is threaten a Fire Punch with the Hoopa, or threaten the High Jump Kick with the Lopunny. And if this Ferrothorn has Protect, and the Lopunny goes for a High Jump Kick, that'll be very bad for TheEnder. But he can't just pull a double. Because, I mean, if he has Fire Punch on the Hoopa, I could see him pulling a double into Hoopa, just because he also catches the Slowbro on the switch in. But the thing is, Daftmau could also go to his Lando T, and yeah, if the Lando T is not Scarf, I can definitely see the Lando T coming in here. If the Pharaoh has Protect, I could easily see him going for the Protect right here, as he does not have the Protect and stays in on the High Jump Kick. I don't know how much. Oh my god, I don't agree with Daftmau's play right there. I guess he was trying to catch TheEnder on an over prediction. But oh man. I mean, if he got it correctly, it would have paid off big time. But now that he didn't get it correctly, that's gonna hurt a lot, because that Ferrothorn was really good versus TheEnder, because it could somewhat threaten the Lopunny, it could stop the Rotomosh a bit, it could potentially stop Jirachi, it could annoy the Latios quite a bit, or even beat it, depending on whether it's burned or not, I guess, and if it has Roost. And just losing your Ferrothorn like that, that's just huge. I mean, I can understand Daftmau's play, just because he has so many switch-ins. Not so many switch-ins. He has the Slowbro and the Lando T to the Lopunny, so he probably expected a return from that Lopunny, which also accounts for the Ferrothorn having Protect, but that did not work out for Daftmau. Ender gets that correctly, and yeah, he really wins that one. So in rings TheEnder on the Slowbro's Skull, does not get burned. If Slowbro can tank a Draco Meteor, I could easily see the Slowbro going for a slack off right here, but there's a double into Hoopa as he does go to Heatran. Yeah, this is looking really bad for Daftmau already. already looking bad for him, as TheEnder's already off to a quick start and he's already made the double, which really puts in a ton of pressure because this Hoopa, it can put in a ton of pressure. If it is banded, it can go for a Drain Punch or a Hyperspace Fury. If it is not banded, if it is Life Orb, it can go for a Focus Blast, and that means it can also switch up moves on the incoming something trying to predict that Focus Blast or fighting move in general. So I actually think if it is Life Orb Hoopa, that's better for TheEnder in this situation. Although I don't know if banded Hyperspace Fury can kill a Heatran. But we did see leftovers on the Heatran, so this is most likely the rocker on Daftmau5's team. So, I don't know. I mean, even if the Hoopa doesn't OHKO the Heatran can't really do much to the Hoopa other than Toxic it or get a Lava Plume burn. And after that, he just needs. I mean, he might just go for his rocks even. You don't know. So, although I wouldn't really agree with throwing away this Heatran for the rocks, just because the Latios can maybe defog those later away, and then he can set him up with this Garchomp again. As we see the Hyperspace Fury, and I think that's banned. As there's the burn. Oh my goodness. So Daftmau is really on top with his burn game right here. Get that Lava Plume burn, get that Scald burn. And that's sure an annoyance for TheEnder, but I still think he's in a he's in a better position. I'm gonna calc that Hyperspace Fury right here. So Hoopa Unbound. Does this have the band set yet? No, it does not. So Choice Band. Come on, Choice. No, there we go. And Hyperspace Fury versus Heatran. And yeah, that's looking like banded damage. I don't know why it's okay, because it's Life Orb Attacker. But we see the Heracross come in on the second Hyperspace Fury. Yeah, that's definitely banded. 30% from a burned resist is quite strong. So this Heracross is pretty free to fire off a Mega Horn right here. I think he could even go for the close combat, but I think he's pretty free to fire off the Mega Horn. And yeah, he does switch out to his Garchomp as... Oh, there is the natural gift. I called it. I called it. Oh my god, I so called it. You guys saw, I called that one, like, so early on. I saw the Heracross Lopunny. I knew that thing was natural gift. Oh my god. So we see the natural gift Ganon Berry, and by doing that prediction, Daftmau does not take any extra damage with this Heracross, which could come in quite handy later on in the game. But look at this Heatran. Look at this. He lost his Ferrothorn, and now, I mean, it could be HP Fire Lati. I could see that with his team. But, man, now his Heatran is also at, like, so low. It's gonna be at, like, less than 20% health when it comes back in from the Stealth Rocks, and it's just gonna go down. So I think Daft has to sack him on here, in all honesty. TheEnder could go for a Psyshock. He could also go straight for the Draco Meteor. Try to not mess around like Daft, trying to go to Slowbro or something of the sorts, but, my god. So, oh my god, I called that natural gift. You just look at the Heracross Lopunny and you realize that he is trying to do something with the double fighting. And I guess TheEnder's fighting checks were often Garchomp or Lando T, so that makes a lot of sense. But Daft does pull the switch into his Heatran as TheEnder does go for the Psyshock and just kills off that Heatran. Now, are we going to see Lando T right here? I mean, what if that Lando T isn't a Scarf? Okay, he does not go to the Lando T. I mean, U-turn does not kill the Latios, so that's something very important to keep in mind. So that may be why he doesn't go to Lando T. Maybe the Lando T is also Double Dance. I could see that because he also has the Ganon Hera, which works with that. So that might be his offensive core. As he just goes for the Fake Out, and in comes the Jirachi. Got that nice leftovers animation, just so that you never miss the leftovers. Man, that's pretty nice. But yeah, looking at that Fake Out damage, I actually want to try to figure out what kind of Jirachi this is. So Lopunny versus, let's just say, we saw leftovers, right? Let's just make a Spadef, and let's see, Fake Out. Nice Healing Wish. 8.1 to 9.9, and this Fake Out did 9, so yeah, this might just be Spadef Rachias. There's the high jump kick. He just takes the Iron Head. So right here, see, this is the thing. He removed the Garchomp, so now he's not going to take a ton of damage from that Ruskin and Rocky Helmet. And he's pretty free to just go for a second high jump kick here, unless this is Protect Jirachi. If this Jirachi goes, if this is like a Wish Protect Jirachi, and it clicks Protect on a high jump kick, oh my god, it's just gonna be completely over. Like, yeah, it's just gonna be completely over if he does, but he just chooses to sack the Hoopa, so that indicates to me that the Jirachi does not have Protect. We did see the Iron Head, maybe it's sub-Rachi. Maybe it's like sub-Toxic Fire. I could actually very easily see Iron Head, Fire Punch, Sub, and Toxic or Body Slam. I think that might be the Rachi set. Or maybe even Healing Wish. Maybe he has some Healing Wish stuff going on, but TheEnder brings in his own Lopunny. He's threatening the Fake Out here, and yeah, Daftmau doesn't want to take that Fake Out, so he goes to his Slowbro. Now, are we going to see a double switch from Daftmau here? A double switch would be pretty good for him if he gets it correctly, and if TheEnder like just pulls a passive switch into his Rotom Wash and gets doubled in the Daftmau and brings in his Heracross on the double, that would be really, really good for Daftmau. But if, let's say Daft pulls that double and TheEnder catches it and goes for a return on the switch, that's gonna be like so huge. So yeah, TheEnder does go for the return as he stays in and goes for the Calm Mind. Oh my god, he didn't even Psyshock. So I guess TheEnder does try to catch the very obvious double, but Daftmau's play instead is to go, I think this Jirachi is toxic, just the way he brought it in. I don't think he's going to try to, this has to be toxic Jirachi, just look at the way he brought it in. But I think yeah, there's the toxic, and there's the Skull. Does it kill? No, it does not. And now the Iron Head can come into play right here, and oh my god. He didn't even Psyshock. I guess he was trying to catch the Rotom Wash on the switch so that the Volt Switch would do less damage, and he can just Calm Mind on a Will-O-Wisp or something and then slack off on the Volt Switches. And I don't know how much I agree with taking that Toxic. If I was Daftmau, I think what I would have done was I would have gone for the Scald on the Rachi switch in, or whatever he wanted to switch into, and try to utilize the fact that he has Regenerator, and not just waste a turn slacking off and then get Toxic. Because now that Toxic gives TheEnder a better chance to beat the Slowbro. Otherwise, I think the Slowbro might have been able to win this game just because it was Calm Mind. And oh, there's the first flinch. So this is already looking pretty bad for Daft, and he just pulls the switch into his Lando T. So, oh my god, there's the substitute. Really well played by TheEnder, because now he can fire off a Toxic on this Lando T. He does need to be wary, however, of Rock Polish, but he has the Rotom, so there's actually the Earthquake, and they outsped their Jirachi, so I think this might be just Scarf Lando T. It might just be Scarf, and I think TheEnder will probably just pull a switch into Rotom, so if there's a time to double, I think that time is right now, but if TheEnder stays in with his Jirachi, just goes for the Iron Head, that'll be really, really bad for Daftmau. But, yeah, he does pull a double into Heracross. Does TheEnder stay in? He stays in! Oh my god. So TheEnder really, really caught that double, and he hits him with the Iron Head, which is really, really good. And this also works out for him because let's say he did lose his Jirachi, then he can bring in his Rotom Wash and just go for a free Volt Switch, and he'll guarantee get off that Volt Switch on either the Heracross or the Lopunny, which he wants, or on the Slowbro, which is incredibly good, or Daftmau will be forced to sack his Lando T to Toxic. And now TheEnder just lets his Rachi go to the Lopunny, and now that he has that Toxic on the Slowbro, I think TheEnder can just cinch this game off. If the Slowbro wasn't Toxic, I think Daftmau would still have a very solid chance of winning this game. If he can kind of create a position where he can get that first Calm Mind pretty safely, and once he can do that, then he can just push ahead in the game. But in comes TheEnder's own Lopunny, and TheEnder might just go for another safe Fake Out here. No reason to really risk that, in my opinion. As whatever he does, he'll get Fake Out damage plus Rocks damage plus Toxic damage if Daftmau does want to switch, as he does pull the switch into his Lando T, as TheEnder does go for the Fake Out right there. So now the Lando T is below 50% health. Now right here the question is he going to go for the U-turn, or is it going to go, oh man, does it have Superpower? If it has Superpower, it might just go for the Superpower here. But he really doesn't want to let that Rotom get a free... This Rotom is so good now versus TheEnder, because he lost his Heracross, he lost his Ferrothorn, and the Rotom is healthy, which is just really, really good for TheEnder. That's just optimal for TheEnder, and I don't know what he wants to do here, because he'd rather not take a Superpower with his Rotom, but I mean, getting his Rotom in is also quite good for him, and it's also insurance versus the Lopunny. His Latios is at 76% health, so I think we should calc Lopunny's return versus Latios, because that might come into play with some Life Orb recoil. Yeah, one more turn of Life Orb recoil, and that Latios will go down to Lopunny. So he does pull the switch into Rotom, and there's the Earthquake. Yeah, Earthquake wouldn't have even killed the Ender's Lopunny, and this is just perfect for the Ender. He can just spam Volt Switch and get up to 100% health with his leftovers, and this Lando T is either going to die, or Daftmau5's going to have to take a Volt Switch, and I think this game is just in the Ender's hand at this point. He made that play with the Jirachi by hitting that Heracross, and that was really big, because if he went to his Rotom on that Heracross, then he would be forced to sack the Jirachi to that Rotom, and that would mean that later on, he couldn't sack the Jirachi to the Lopunny's high jump kick. And yeah, I think the double fighting just, the double fighting was a good call by Daftmau5, but it just wasn't able to work out in this situation. So maybe right here he's going to go for a crit on this Rotom, fake out plus high jump kick crit. Oh, he actually goes for the heal bell. Oh my, oh, wait a minute. This is actually huge. This is actually huge! Oh my goodness! Because now TheEnder has to bring in his Lopunny or the Latios. He can't bring in his Latios because... Oh, maybe he should have brought in this Latios. Because if he brought in the Lopunny, that means that Slowbro can Calm Mind on this Lopunny. Does the... Oh, if TheEnder didn't... Oh, he goes to his Rotom. Is he gonna... Oh, I don't understand why TheEnder would do this. I think what TheEnder had to do was go to his Latios, live a return, and basically let the Latios die to the return plus the Life Orb recoil, and that way he won't have the Lopunny in on the Slowbro when he tries to so that the Slowbro won't get an extra free Calm Mind, and he can get the Rotom Wash in earlier. Sorry about that, guys, I got interrupted, but basically what happened here was that the Rotom Wash came in, it burned the Slowbro, and it had to Volt Switch as the Slowbro hit +2, and the Slowbro could just slack off on that very, very easily. You said it only did 28%, and TheEnder brings in his Latios here. His alternative play was to do something where, since the Lopunny lived at 2%, do something so that he can bring in his Rotom Wash once again, and Volt Switch to kill off the Lopunny so that he can bring in his Latios before the Slowbro gets any boosts, and then either try to kill the Slowbro from 88% with the Latios' Draco Meteor. I think that's what it was at, and then either go for that or just try to try to predict the slack off and like Psyshock and then Draco Meteor, like just try to play around the Slowbro and out-predict it that way. And now that the Slowbro has so many Calm Mind boosts, I think TheEnder just has to get a crit. That's the only way he can win this, because if he doesn't get the crit, the Slowbro is just gonna win. And that heal bell was so clutch. Oh my god, that heal bell was so huge. That move just changed the tides of the battle. I'm sure TheEnder was like feeling really, really comfortable because he could toxic the Slowbro, so even though it was Calm Mind, he could beat it in the end with fake out damage and Volt Switch damage and Roost stalling it with Latios and stuff, and he would eventually beat the Slowbro. But now it's not toxic and he let his Jirachi go, so he can't toxic it again. And that heal bell was really, really well timed by Daftmau5 to reveal it at the end after the Jirachi went away and get it into a position where the Slowbro could set up is really, really well done. And I think at this point he can win. See, the Draco Meteor did 48%, so double that. That's like 9. That would have killed if you did what I said. So, assuming the Rotom Wash could live, maybe what you could do is you could go Latios, and then you actually maybe you need some way to sack Amon and get in the Rotom on that Lopunny, so that way you can Volt Switch, kill the Lopunny, and bring in that Latios, and then just Draco Meteor that Slowbro to win the game. That's what he had to do, but we actually see TheEnder just trying to go for the Lopunny, fake out plus burn damage and return, and it's still not enough, and Daftmau5 can just slack that all off, which is insane, as he just goes for another slack off here. And the Rotom, what is it going to do here? Volt Switch and something on, and TheEnder's team is going to have to take a Psyshock, I presume. I mean, the Slowbro is getting worn down by the burns and the continual attacks on it, but it has so much bulk, and if it just keeps on boosting, it'll just eventually be unbreakable, even though, like, I guess TheEnder is, like, is it even possible for the Ender to PP stall off the slack off? I don't think it is, because the Daftmau5 can just fire off attacks as he pleases. Like, this Volt Switch is going to do nothing, and he's going to be able to live any combination after that. It looks like the Ender is praying for some crits. Oh my goodness. So, my god, I really think the Ender should have tried to find a better way to play around this so that he could get in his Latios on the Slowbro after killing the Lopunny without the Slowbro having any Calm Mind boost. And you saw that Draco Meteor did so much damage, and it would have killed the Slowbro after rocks. So I think that was really his optimal play. But here we see the Volt Switch on the Slowbro as he goes to the Latios, and Daftmau just slacks it off. My goodness. And Daftmau, I think he can either Calm Mind again here or just fire off an attack at this point. He already has +3, and I mean, Daftmau is just being careful, I guess, with the slack offs right there. And yeah, he can just fire off his Side Shock or his Scald right here. I think that's perfectly fine for Daftmau. And the Ender is just going for the crits here, and really the question is he gonna get the crit? Man, that Heal Bell play was so insane. It just changed the tides of the battle so much. That was really, my god, that was clutch AF. That was like so clutch to see that heal bell from the Lopunny, which you really never see. And just Lopunny has so many cool attacking options. It has Encore, and I've actually used Sub Encore before. It's extremely good. You could use Sub Power Up Punch, you can use Encore Power Up Punch, you can use Encore Healing Wish, you can use Fake Out Healing Wish, you can use Quick Attack Healing Wish, you can use Adamant Fake Out Quick Attack. You can do so many things. You can use Power Up Punch Quick Attack. You can use so many things with Lopunny. You can use Power Up Punch Baton Pass. There's like, Lopunny has so many cool attacking options. It's really quite an intriguing one. And you could build so many teams with Lopunny and OU. It's quite amazing. And each time you can make it have something different. But there we see the Draco Meteor, and now he has that -2. So the Ender doesn't even go for the crit. He just, if I was the Ender, I might have just gone for the crit right there. And Daft doesn't slack off again. What are you going to do with the Lopunny? You're going to fake this out, and then you're going to, like, I don't really understand. Like, if you were going to go for the crit, I think that was a turn to go for the crit right there. And so we just see a fake out on the Slowbro and a return, as it's just going to slack off. Just get rid of that damage, and the Ender is wasting slack off PP. But that's good for him, but he can probably do it one more time, yeah, as that's what he does. And Daftmau does just go for another slack off, and I think right here he might just go for the Side Shock. He's at 86%, that's like the best he's going to reach at, other than 88, but I don't think that 2% is going to really make a difference. If he wants more security, he could Calm Mind on this Lopunny and then start slacking off again, because that'll give him more security versus Volt Switch damage and Draco Meteor damage. But it does have the downside of meaning that there are more chances for the Ender to get crits, and Daft just wants to finish off the rest of the Ender's team as fast as he can, and just manage. He needs to manage this thing properly, because if he doesn't manage it properly, and he gives the Ender too many chances for a crit, he'll eventually get one most likely, and that could be the difference between a win or a loss right here. So, the other thing to consider is that the Ender can choose to just let his Rotom take damage and then start pain splitting around that Slowbro, waste some more slack off PP. I think the Ender's really just going for wasting some slack PP, as there's the Side Shock on the Rotom switch-in. So is he going to just pain split right here, or is he just going to Volt Switch? Not sure what he's going to do, but maybe I think Daftmau should just slack off here, because if the Ender does Volt Switch into like his Latios or something, then he'd rather be healthy, or even Volt Switch into his Lopunny. And if he gets his Lopunny in safely, and these fake outs plus returns after getting Volt Switch damage, and the Slowbro does not slack off, that would be bad. So I think slack off is the right play from Daftmau. If the Ender goes for the pain split and Daftmau slacks off, that'll be annoying. But you don't want to lose just because the Ender went for the Volt Switch and not the pain split, which you were expecting. But if the Ender does go for the pain split and Daftmau gets off a Side Shock, that's good for him. But at this point, there's no reason to really make risky plays. I think Daft should just slack off here, and the Ender can probably just, he can Volt Switch or pain split. Both are probably fine. I might say pain split just because the Rotom is at 51%, and if he Volt Switches, he won't get Leftovers recovery immediately. But so he won't be able to live another Psyshock, but at +3 Psyshock. But excuse me, what he could do is just switch to his Rotom later on an obvious slack off, and then use that opportunity to put himself outside of the range of +3 Psyshock. But there we see the Volt Switch. Daft should just slack off here, as no, he goes for the Psyshock on the Latios sack. Can the Lopunny come in here and just fake out plus return? Can he fake out plus return here? Oh my god. The Slowbro is actually really low now. It's at 32%. Can a return kill this? Can a return kill the Slowbro? Because if the return just kills the Slowbro, that's a huge choke on Daftmau5's part. Oh my god! Down goes the Slowbro from the Lopunny's return. Oh my goodness! I think Daftmau just choked. That's ridiculous. I think Daftmau choked that game by going for the Psyshock and not the slack off. Let's actually see the calc. Yeah, I wanna calc that one. There we got the Lopunny, and let's look at the Slowbro, physical wall, and return. Yeah, that's a roll, but it's like a mid roll kind of thing, and I really think Daftmau shouldn't have risked that. I think he should have just gone for the slack off and not gone for the Psyshock right there on that Latios sack. And I guess TheEnder just caught Daftmau on that choke right there and just was able to pull the game back. After that, Daftmau revealed that Lopunny, but man, this game was crazy all around. Those endgame plays were that Lopunny reveal was just so amazing, and I totally called the Ganlon Berry Heracross. I like, that's like the first thing I said. I looked at the team, I saw Lopunny here, I'm like, that's the first thing. But like, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I am trying to get some collaborations with other people, but I haven't been able to record with anyone else yet. But that's what I'm gonna try to do. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please just leave a like, thumbs up, leave your comments, and please subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, that's it, and I'll see you guys later.